The dragon lantern at the foyer is probably one of the best dragon decorations I have seen this year. Now I'm walking towards TRX, the newest shopping mall in KL. While walking along Bukit Bintang, a surprise came to me in the form of someone calling me out of nowhere. Okay, yeah.
Yo! What's up, guys?
I've met fellow friends of mine.
Absolutely.
Fellow YouTuber.
Hello, YouTubers.
How many subscribers you have?
My name is Claude Joseph. I am having almost 20,000 subscribers, and I'm happy to meet Uncle Gold Traveling.
Oh, yeah, we are happy. This is Uzaid, and you have got roughly 1,000 subscribers, and we are so happy that we have got to meet.
Yes.
There's one group of vloggers spotting me from afar doing vlogging as well along the same road.
Please subscribe to Uncle Gold Traveling. Let's take him to 1,000 subscribers, and we celebrate.
And Uzair,
And also Uzair, he is also to the road.
We exchange greetings and well wishes with one another.
1,000 subscribers. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a picture together.
Yeah.
Come here. Bintang Crossing. For those people who has been to Japan, Tokyo, must not have missed on the famous Shibuya Scramble walking. Basically, this crossing has all vehicles stopping from all directions to allow pedestrians to flood the entire intersection. Now, even without buying an air ticket, you can try out the Shibuya style crossing in Kuala Lumpur itself at Bukit Bintang. A scramble crossing, known as an X crossing, is a pedestrian crossing system that stops all vehicles from all directions. It then allows those on foot to cross an intersection in every direction at the same time. The most famous scramble crossing has to be the Shibuya crossing in Tokyo, Japan, where hundreds of people cross the streets in all directions simultaneously. Compared to the famous Shibuya crossing, the Bukit Bintang crossing is cuter and much smaller. It may look a little bit empty right now, but who knows, in future it might be quite an incredible scene to view from above. I covered Chinatown on my last half-day, one-night visit in August last year. This time round, with another half-day, one-night, I covered another part I has not stepped in for the past more than 10 years. Bukit Bintang, that is. In the last over 10 years since I last visited, Bukit Bintang has progressed so much so beyond what I can imagine. Pavilion Kuala Lumpur along Bukit Bintang has opened since 2007. I've seen it from the day it opened, and more than 15 years since I last stepped in here, Pavilion has not lost its relevance. In fact, given its super strategic location along Bukit Bintang, I thought this could well be the most popular shopping mall among tourists and locals, with 700 shops and 8 theme precincts. I'm here in Pavilion during the Chinese New Year season. The Chinese New Year decoration is still around for quite some time, and I must say, the decoration is simply awesome. The dragon lantern at the foyer is probably one of the best dragon decorations I have seen this year. 3D animation along Bukit Bintang. Is that in KL? I've read about that existing in the very cosmopolitan city like Tokyo, Seoul, Hong Kong, and cities in China. All these major cities in the world all caught into the 3D digital billboard craze. I watch it on TV, IG, TikTok, YouTube, and dazzled by such beautiful lighting. However, my home country Singapore does not have this LED panel. Seeing is believing. I'm really starting to believe I'm a frog in a well when I see the 3D LED screen right in front of my eyes in Kuala Lumpur, Bukit Bintang, and it is already there since February 2021. Incidentally, this 3D LED panel located outside of the pavilion is Malaysia's first 3D panel. Now being the Chinese New Year season, the LED panel showcased the cute dragon animation. What is so enduring and caught me off surprise is the fact that the LED panel at Pavilion KL combined with the neighboring shopping mall Fahrenheit 88 LED to have this dragon chasing after the rabbit. Such combination is a wonderful animation with nice background music. Much as I wanted to stay on for a little longer, I have this dying urge to go to TRX. That is after seeing so many YouTubers showcasing TRX few months back at November 2023, blasting all over my YouTube channel suggested pages back then during TRX grand opening. So now that I am in KL, how can I give TRX a miss? How does one reach TRX? Other than a subway line down underneath the building, for me, I stroll to TRX from an obscure side road along Bukit Bintang. Coming close to TRX gives me this overwhelmed feeling of big brand names surrounding me. If I'm much younger, I would very impressed by all these international fashion brands. Too bad I've past that age already. I'm more to see how geometry and spacious play out for me in this building. We all know TRX building, but do you know that TRX stands for Tun Razak Exchange? TRX is a 70-acre development by Ministry of Finance Malaysia (MOF) in the heart of Kuala Lumpur for international finance and business. The development was named after the second Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tun Abdul Razak Hussein, due to its location along Jalan Tun Razak. The Exchange 106 within this development, in Malay called Menara Exchange 106, is a 453.6 meter tall, super tall skyscraper in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It is the second tallest building in Malaysia and third tallest building in Southeast Asia. Compared to the other malls located along Bukit Bintang, TRX atmosphere, to be frank to me, is still a few notches down. Maybe it is due to the fact that it is situated some distance from the major human traffic along Bukit Bintang. Nevertheless, I love going to TRX on a weekday night where there are not much people. Strange as it may seem, the flooring design of TRX gives me the feeling of traveling through space intergalactic galaxy with those lines and floor tiles. Needless to say, I can only be able to feel this only during weekday nights when there are not too many shoppers.
Red lights, driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive, nothing in sight, forever in flight.
I left TRX. I still like what I saw and experienced in there. I'm so glad that I've ticked the checkbox of being in TRX when I'm in KL here.
I feel like I wanna do, I'm living life, like I got nothing left to prove, no end in sight, just always staying on the move, I'll go all night, if that's just what I gotta do. Life's too short to care about what you can't afford, memories are in what you explore, so just don't.
I'm back along Bukit Bintang again. I popped by KL Starhill. I used to stay in JW Marriott Kuala Lumpur during my work trips in KL decades back. However, now with the complete overhaul of the shop mix, other than certain corners of Starhill, the nostalgic feeling is no longer there for me. There is something new in Starhill, which is the coveted Eslite moving into this shopping mall. These days, a successful bookstore does not just only sell books. Along this line, Eslite is more selling a lifestyle. Probably this is how physical stores have to deal with the online stores right now. Eslite Spectrum in Starhill, KL, try doing that, I'm sure. Eslite Spectrum is a sub-brand of the Eslite bookstore, which is one of the most chill bookstores originating in Taiwan. Underneath Eslite's bookstore, Eslite Spectrum is a brand founded in 2010 and described as a platform for creative commerce. This means it's home to various lifestyle brands, especially those of creative nature. Think of it as a departmental store, but more artsy. Sporting a maze-like layout, Eslite Spectrum is separated into few zones. Unfortunately, in my case, I'm trying to skim through this place without giving this place the attention it ought to get. Despite Eslite being a Taiwanese company, a lot of the featured businesses in its Starhill KL location are proudly Malaysian. There are also F&B eateries cafe within the premise. Unfortunately, as Starhill is pretty dead when I visit the place on a weekday night, this sort of have a rippling effect to Eslite. This place does not benefit from the massive crowd from the Pavilion KL just right opposite the road. I left Starhill, trying to trace back the path I took many years back and walked into a mall next to it, Fahrenheit 88. Back in those days, it was called by another name. I forgot what name the name is. What I'm seeing now is that this place is so much brightly lit with so many colors and more spacious. I merely swing past this place and take a peek at the Chinese New Year decorations. There are also some in-season exhibitions. Jalan Alor Food Street. Jalan Alor Food Street is possibly one of Kuala Lumpur's most famous night food streets. There is no shortage of good food in Kuala Lumpur, a melting pot of mouth-watering dishes from all over the world. If you fancy a respite from all the shopping mall restaurants and basement food courts, take a night time out to Jalan Alor, Kuala Lumpur's most famous night market. Jalan Alor has existed for many years, and before entering this side lane leading into it, I have this preconceived expectation of this place. After all, this place used to be my canteen when I hang around Bukit Bintang a lot when I'm young. It is exactly this wrong mental fixation of mine of this place that gives me the biggest surprise in my entire Kuala Lumpur trip. At most, these smaller stores will gang up together into clusters scattered along the length of Jalan Alor. And sanitary-wise, back in those days, things here are a little bit dirty. But that adds to the fun of having my food here. Now, Jalan Alor is totally transformed. I'm first overwhelmed by the huge signboards here. These signboards here are more cohesive and systematic and colorful in design. Overall, the sanitation here is so much better than last time. In the good old days, I can still see people washing the cutlery along the streets. No more now. Also gone are the unsightly trash bins and the piling up of the paper plates and food all over the road. The crowd on a Wednesday night is a sight to behold. It was crowded previously, but I do not recall at this kind of scale. People here somehow give me this feeling that they are doing sightseeing here as well. That's my subtle feel to it. Back in those days, people here are just going for the food only. And after those food, quickly got out of this place. It's those things that somehow we know what we want and we go straight to the store without much thoughts. But right now, I'm really hit by the option crisis. There are so many choices for me to choose from. I really do not know what to choose now. I'm searching high and low for my favorite KL Hokkien noodle that I crave for. With the entire revamp of this place, I do not know now where my favorite Hokkien mee is located. I felt a little bit emo. It almost felt like Jalan Alor was an old friend of mine, but now transformed into someone that I do not know at all. Initially, I really look forward to having my dinner here. But right now, at this instant, I do not feel like having my dinner here anymore. There are just too many people walking up and down the streets, and personally, I do not like too many people moving around me when I'm having my food. Other than food, Jalan Alor is also famous for its dodgy side. That was last time. These days, the people on the streets are pretty much blend into the party-going crowd. You actually have to pay a little bit more attention to really spot their existence. Now, Jalan Alor is better known as a waterhole. Pubs and clubbers spill into the side pavement. I like such vibe, by the way. I stroll back to KL Chinatown. I am still determined to eat a plate of KL Hokkien noodle in this trip that I will not give up until I eat it. Not able to eat my Hokkien noodle at Jalan Alor, I retreat back to Chinatown eventually. My wish is simple. I just need to have a plate of Hokkien noodle. I ended up going into a street side store and order that. Geez, that must be the most horrible Hokkien noodle in KL. It's way too soggy, tasteless, no lattes, no wok hei, and aesthetically challenged. Kuala Lumpur has always have a special place in my heart. I remember in my younger days that I would catch a Friday night bus from Singapore to Kuala Lumpur just for the weekend. I possibly know every nook and corner back then in central KL. That was what I thought before tonight. No, Kuala Lumpur and I have already gone on our separate ways many moons ago. I failed to acknowledge it until today.